There are moments in MMA where you realize you are witnessing something special. From GSP's title defenses to Jon Jones' ascension, there have been some legendary runs in the sport, and Khabib Nurmagomedov stands shoulder to shoulder with his peers. With a perfect record of 28 wins and no losses, Khabib is the epitome of dominance. Here are 10 things you didn't know about the Dagestani mauler. 1. He was raised in a house of 16 boys. Khabib was training to be the devastating fighting force that he is today from a young age. When Khabib was just 7, his father Abdulmanap and his 3 brothers decided that all their sons should live under the same roof. In the capital of Dagestan, Mahachkala, the 16 boys lived together with no women in the house. They trained in wrestling and combat sambo to prepare them for combat. Khabib's training camp-esque upbringing gives him his incredible determination to compete and win no matter what. It's also responsible for one of the most talked about clips in MMA history. Khabib as a child wrestling a small bear. His father said that he would make him wrestle the bear as a young boy to build his character. It certainly worked, even if the method is questionable. Number 2. His father was his head coach and a world champion in his own right. Unfortunately passing away earlier this year at the age of 57, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov had a massive impact on his son's career. A former Sambo world champion, Abdulmanap went on to become a senior coach for the combat Sambo national team in the Republic of Dagestan. Splitting his training camps between Dagestan and the American Kickboxing Academy, it was clear that the man in charge was always his father. He was only able to corner Khabib once in the UFC due to visa issues. Abdulmanap witnessed his son defend his light heavyweight title with a submission over Dustin Poirier in Abu Dhabi. Demanding lots of respect in the MMA world, tributes to him flooded in upon the announcement of his death back in June. Number 3. Khabib was a highly decorated fighter long before the UFC. In 2005, Khabib followed in his father's footsteps by competing in combat sambo. Just like his father, he rose to the very top, becoming a 2-time world champion and the champion of Russia. Khabib became a Eurasian hand-to-hand combat champion, a European pankration champion, and a NAGA, or North American Grappling Association world champion, setting himself up with an incredibly strong foundation for MMA. Khabib built a record of 16-0, fighting mostly in Russia before making his UFC and United States debut with a submission win over Kamal Shaloris. The rest, as they say, is history. Number 4. Khabib is a devout Muslim and doesn't fight during Ramadan. Raised in a very strict religious household, faith is the only thing more important than training to the Nurmagomedovs. Being the first Muslim to win a UFC title, Khabib has made it clear that he will not compete during Ramadan, a 30-day holy month where Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset. The period is incredibly difficult for professional athletes. Though Khabib used to train in this time, he slowed it down due to the amount of injuries he suffered early on in his career. Khabib has said in the past that fighters need roughly a month and a half after Ramadan to get back on track, effectively ruling Khabib out of competition from April to the end of July. Number 5. Khabib holds the record for the most takedowns in a fight. In Khabib's 4th UFC appearance, he took on Abel Trujillo at UFC 160 on the 25th of May 2013. On a card headlined by Cain Velasquez and Antonio Silva, Khabib opened up the prelim card with a unanimous decision win. In this fight, he also broke the record for most takedowns in one fight, breaking Sean Sherk's previous record in a fight that lasted 2 rounds less. Khabib landed 21 takedowns in 27 attempts. In a fight that put the rest of the division on notice, Khabib's dominant style began to show itself as he swept Trujillo aside with ease due to his immense grappling pressure. Number 6. Khabib's hat is a Dagestan tradition with history behind it. One of the first things that made Khabib Nurmagomedov stand out in the UFC is his papaka, simply meaning hat. The papaka is an item of clothing worn by shepherds in Avar culture. Coming from the mountains, the warrior clan wore the hat not only to keep warm, but as a symbol. Though not a noble hat by any means, it symbolizes strength, and no one in Dagestan would dare touch your papaka if you left it unattended. There's many superstitions that have surrounded the tradition behind the hat that became mandatory clothing for the Russian army around World War I. One such story is that you can only take your papaka off when you fight the enemy, and once off, you don't put it on again until you've completed the fight. Number 7. Khabib is the second-ranked pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC. The UFC pound-for-pound rankings have always been a debate topic for fans. Though not always agreed with, the rankings do hold some weight in the sport. Off the back of his wins over Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, Khabib ranks second on the list, just behind Jon Jones. With Jones currently being inactive, a win over Justin Gaethje on Fight Island, unifying the division in the process, will likely see Khabib ascend to the #1 spot in the UFC. Israel Adesanya sits one place behind in third, also with an unbeaten record. Though many believe Jon Jones' record should also read undefeated, Khabib's streak of 28-0 is easily the most impressive in the whole of the sport. Number 8. Khabib's nickname is also a symbol of Dagestan. Nicknames have always been a marketing tool in combat sports, and Khabib's is no different, but unlike many others, it has a strong meaning behind it. Nicknamed the Eagle, the story behind Khabib's chosen animal also comes from his home country of Dagestan. Relating back to his papaka, some historians believe the origin of the hat may come from Greek mythology. This refers back to the story of Hercules slaying the Nemean lion and wearing its hide as a hat. In the myths of Hercules, he also slays an eagle that has been torturing Prometheus by eating his liver every day. The bird has become synonymous with Khabib's area of birth, as well as the Greek god Zeus, and is even a part of the Dagestan's coat of arms. Number 9. Khabib is the biggest Russian athlete on the planet. Over the last few years, Khabib has built up a massive fan base, mostly outside of the United States. Named on ESPN's World Fame 100 in 2019, Khabib ranked 15th, making him the highest of any Russian athlete. He also has the largest social media following of any Russian celebrity, with 21.6 million followers on Instagram. Due to his big following, Khabib was recently placed 7th on Sports Pro's 50th most marketable athletes. The list, which works with Nielsen, uses marketability assessment methodology to analyze 4 factors: relevance, reach, return, and residence. Khabib placed just below PSG's Neymar and above the likes of Mohamed Salah, Ryan Garcia, and Jorge Masvidal, who placed 24th. Number 10. He holds the record for the biggest pay-per-view in UFC history. Conor McGregor vs. Khabib is undoubtedly the biggest fight in MMA history. With 2 die-hard fan bases, the fight was always going to be massive, and the build-up only added fuel to the fire. With plenty of blood and history between the two, the fight was a promoter's dream, with the contest basically selling itself. The fight generated 2.5 million pay-per-view buys, putting it 3rd in the list of best-selling pay-per-view events of all time, though a long way away from the top 2 in McGregor vs. Mayweather and Mayweather vs. Pacquiao. It is far ahead of the nearest UFC pay-per-view, with McGregor Diaz 2 coming in at 1.65 million and UFC 100 being just 500,000 behind that. Khabib vs. McGregor will take some beating. Who knows? Maybe a rematch between a certain Irishman and an undefeated champion down the line could see them break their very own record. So, there you have it. 10 things you didn't know about Khabib Nurmagomedov. What do you guys think? Is Khabib the best fighter in UFC history? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications. As always, you're watching Non-Stop Sports. We'll catch you next time.